An ordinance of the Borough of Westchester, Chester County, Pennsylvania, amending the code of the Borough of Westchester, Chapter 89, titled Sewers, Section 8911B, to revise the monthly sewer rates effective February 1, 2025.
Good evening. So your sewer rates are codified in Chapter 89, Section 89-11 of your code. Therefore, this has to be a public hearing process. We had to advertise tonight's hearing in the Daily Local News. We did that on December 9th, 2024. I also sent a copy of the full ordinance to the Chester County Law Library and the Daily Local on November 21st. It's a simple change. It raises the rates by, Barbara, 2.5%, I believe. Yes. So those rates are reflected in Section 1 of the ordinance. Simple as that.
Okay, council, any discussion, questions, any public questions?
One question, Mr. Chairman. What, after the approval, is it 31 days when this goes into effect?
Typically, the ordinance is 31 days after it's in effect, but this ordinance is written that these rates will go into effect as of February 1, 2025.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing no public comments or questions, someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the change to the sewers rate.
A second.
Mr. Metric, call the question.
Ms. Dorsey? Mr. Flynn?
No.
Ms. Vaccaro?
Yes.
Mr. McGinnis? Mr. Travis is absent. Ms. Shimoni? And Mr. McCoy?
Yes. Thank you. Moving on to the second ordinance, an ordinance of the Borough of Westchester, Chester County, Pennsylvania, amending the code of the Borough of Westchester, Chapter 104, titled Vehicles and Traffic, specifically to amend Section 104-45, titled Special Purpose Parking Zones Established, Parking Otherwise Prohibited, to adopt a new Section 104-45, titled Parking Prohibited at Handicapped Areas, and to amend Section 104-46, titled Violations and Penalties.
So this also, your Chapter 104 in your code deals with your vehicle and your parking regulations. We advertised tonight's hearing, Daily Local News, on December 9th, 2024. I sent a copy of the ordinance for public inspection on November 21st to the Daily Local and Law Library. This is something I was working with Ramsey on. It hopefully will avoid the number of hearings that you have every month to have to add additional handicap parking spots. So now what we did is Section 104-45, which currently is where any of your special purpose parking spots and your handicap parking spaces, that's where it is today in the code. So what we did is we kept 104-45 to be the couple spaces that have special purposes. And then we created a new 104-45.1, which identifies how you go about getting a handicap parking space approved. And then a subsequent to this ordinance, the actual handicap parking spaces will be established through a resolution process so that as new people come in requesting those, and if they are approved, you do it through a resolution, which does not need to be advertised. So that's the purpose of this ordinance. And then the last section, the violation and penalty section, because we added a new section 104-45.1, we had to account for that in the violation and penalty section so that if you park a vehicle in a handicap space without having a handicap placard, then that section will tell you what the appropriate penalty is.
Thank you. Council, any questions or comments? Any public questions or comments? Okay. Somebody like to make a motion?
I would like to make the motion.
A second.
Mr. Metric, please call the question.
Ms. Dorsey?
Yes.
Mr. Flynn?
Yes.
Ms. Vaccaro?
Yes.
Mr. McGinnis?
Yes.
Mr. Travis is absent. Ms. Shimoni?
Yes.
And Mr. McCoy?
Yes. Okay. With those out of the way, we will call the Borough Council meeting for December 18, 2024 to order. Second order of business, Pledge of Allegiance. We will rise, and Ms. Vaccaro. Okay, we have one announcement about the vacancy on the Westchester Planning Commission. I believe February is when we're looking to interview and hopefully appoint a new member. Moving on to comment suggestions, petitions by residents in attendance regarding items that are not on the agenda.
Darrell Cook, South Walnut Street. This will be my last High Street report of this year. Two males, 9:45 p.m. crossing High Street against the light. First guy was faster and didn't interfere with the northbound car. Second guy was lucky the car stopped for him north of the crosswalk. You need a solid statement. Streets are for vehicles. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. All right, any other comments? Thank you. Moving on to comments by Borough Council and Mayor. Start with Ms. Vaccaro.
I want to say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everyone out there. Happy New Year as well. Thank you so much to everyone in the parking department. We had a wonderful evening tonight, and I just want to make sure that you know how much I very much appreciate everything that you do. That's it. Happy holidays.
Thank you, Mr. McGinnis.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I just want to echo the same sentiments as Councilwoman Vaccaro, wishing everyone a Merry Christmas, happy and healthy holiday season. And remember to take care of your recycling and trash people, okay? They're good people. You take care of them. I think you all know what I mean. If you don't know what I mean, you can figure it out. But just take care of them. They do a lot of good work.
Thank you, Ms. Dorsey.
Thank you, Mr. McCoy. Again, would just like to reiterate happy holidays and Merry Christmas to everyone. Want to acknowledge the parking committee members as well as the staff. Thank you for including me tonight in your dinner and for all the work that you do. I also want to acknowledge Public Works. I have to give a shout out again to Don Anderson in Public. The float for the Christmas holiday parade this year was phenomenal. Thank the mayor for the pulling that all together. It was so much fun cold, but fun to be a part of that and ride on the float this year instead of walking. So kudos to Don and Public Works. It was a great experience. Happy holidays.
Thank you. Mr. Flynn.
Greetings from the sweetest ward in the borough, the 6th Ward. I just want to thank everyone here on council and Ms. Camp for your help during this past year. We had a very, very good year on council. We got a lot done and we all worked together well. And I'd like to thank all the residents also for participating in all the events that we have uptown. It makes our town bright and cheery and welcoming. And it's sad to see another year, end, but I'm looking forward to 2025. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shimoni.
Yeah, I'd just like to echo the sentiments of a lot of my peers up here. We had a great year. We accomplished a lot. I have a list here because Kyle wants to talk to us after the meeting, and I wrote down a list of all the things that we've done this year. I won't bleed it dry right now, but we did a lot with the planning commission. There's been a lot of good work being done in the parking area. Finances are in good shape. We've done some bidding to get better deals on some of our insurance products and things like that. We've had great events. All sorts of things have been going on this year that have been really great for the borough. And I appreciate everyone that's worked to move things forward. And I too look forward to another great 2025. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Mayor DeBaptiste.
Thank you, President. I just want to echo what Councilperson Lisa Dorsey said. I floated the idea of wanting to have a float in the parade in commemoration of our 225th year in the borough. And Don Edwards green lighted it, and Don Anderson executed a wonderful plan and put it together. And then what made it extra fun was we had just a great collaboration of not only council people on it, including our president, President McCoy here, and Lisa Dorsey, and Brian Travis and Brian McGinnis. They were all on it. And in addition to that, we had heads of departments like our finance, thank you, Barb, and our parking, thank you, Ramsey, and our housing, Sally, and also the admin extraordinaire, Dana, who brings the party wherever she goes. So we just had and we also had someone on Public Works. So our float was, we had snow that looked so real. Kids were trying to taste it. And we had music, we had all the things. And so we hope that perhaps this will be annual. We don't know, but we'll see. Secondly, I just wanted to say, in addition to a lot of new happenings in town, we have a new officer on the Westchester Police Force, Canine Officer Odin. And he was sworn in yesterday. I have his paw prints to prove it. And we had a great little ceremony here yesterday. And he is active and alert, and he's already been lent out. So he's earning his keep and building his resume. So we have a new officer about. So next time you see Canine Officer Odin, you give him a pat.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, most of everything's been said, but it's been a very fun couple of weeks, festive, lots of activities between the parade and Santa in the Park. Last week's Chris Kindle Market, which was a lot of fun. Way to bring in the season. I hope everyone enjoys the rest of it. Also wanted to welcome Odin to the police force and thank Samantha Long, Officer Samantha Long, who is his master, I guess.
Yeah, yes.
And worked with him for training. So congratulations to them. So thank you, everyone, and we'll get on with business here. So the first thing we have under reports and presentations is a presentation of citation of congratulations by Mayor Lillian DeBaptiste to the employees of the Westchester Borough Parking Services Department in recognition of their years of service.
Should stand facing you or stand? Like, yes. Oh, no. Yeah. I want to say, perhaps they could come up. Could all of the parking officers come up, please? We can stand right here. Yeah, you're gonna say your name and I'll present it.
Tina Anderson.
Well, no, I'm just- So, I want to read it though. So, you know, this is, I've said this to them, but this is the hardest, probably one of the hardest jobs in the borough, being a parking officer. They are on the front line every single day, catching it all, the good, the bad, the ugly, and not too much good. But they do their job and they do it calmly and they do it expeditiously. And from what I've seen, they do it with kindness. And so I just want to say thank you. And some of them have been here, like Tina, 36 years doing it. Yeah. And so what I'd like to do is two things. We will read the citation one time, okay? And we will give you each your copy of your citation. But it says, a citation of congratulations on behalf of the mayor's office and the citizens of the Borough of Westchester. We express our heartfelt congratulations for In this case, 36 years of service and dedication to the parking department of the Borough of Westchester. So thank you very much. I think there is no one else more than these people who deserve the key to the city of Westchester, because they could probably tell you more about Westchester than some of the people who sit in the offices. They're on the streets, they see the comings and the goings. And they're keeping an eye out. So yes, Tina, 36 years. Am I here? Don't unlock nothing now.
Thank you.
Thank
you very much.
Thank you, Tina. Thank you so much. Yeah, no, just stand here by everyone else. You can name. Mhm.
So this one is for Carolyn Roldan for 23 years of service.
For 23 years of service. And she's as feisty now as she was then.
Thank you.
Jill Jones with 22 years of service.
22 years.
Thank you.
That's right. Right.
Your hands croak.
I know.
Elinette Conde for 20 years of service.
You got a lot of layers on there. Just like me. I have 4 layers on all the time. There you go. Thank you for your service.
So Monica Campbell with maybe 17 years, maybe more. I think this might actually be more than that. And not least, Alassane Fomba with 14 years of service.
Oh, right here? Okay. Why would you look right here? It's funny, sure.
Thank you.
From 14 to 36 years, when you think of dedication, think of these people. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor. And also shout out to our 3 they're under 5 years. So when they hit 5 years, they'll also be up here. You're all the best.
And we just want to say thank you to the parking director, Ramsey, for doing this. She didn't have to, but she did. And I think it's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations, everyone, and thank you for your service. Okay, we'll move on to old business. A, starting with the appointments to the Borough of Westchester boards, commissions, and committees, starting with Civil Service Commission. Rich Eagles was the sole candidate, and we also, just a quick announcement, we'll need an alternate for civil service. So if anyone knows of anyone who may be interested in that position, we'll be looking at that starting in January. So
I'll make a motion that we appoint Mr. Eagles to the Civil Service Commission.
And I'll second that.
okay, Mr. Metric, call the question, please.
Ms. Dorsey,
Yes.
Mr. Flynn,
Yes.
Ms. Vaccaro,
Yes.
Mr. McGinnis.
Yes.
Ms. Shimoni. and Mr. McCoy.
Yes. Okay, next we have the committee to reestablish rail service to Westchester. We had 4 candidates and we have 4 vacancies. Barbara Clark, a non-resident, Charlotte Barker, Liz Young, and Kimberly Beauvais.
Mr. McCoy, I'd like to make a recommendation that we appoint the 4 candidates to the committee to reestablish rail service.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Metric, please call the question.
Ms. Dorsey,
Yes.
Mr. Flynn.
Yes.
Ms. Vaccaro.
Yes.
Mr. McGinnis,
Yes.
Ms. Shimoni,
Yes.
and Mr. McCoy.
Yes. Next, we have the Historic Architectural Review Board. We have 2 candidates, Marissa McCarthy and Laura McLean. So understand that Laura's applied for several different committees and boards, including expressing some interest in the Transportation Advisory Committee. So, it looks like if there's a motion to appoint Marissa.
I'd make a motion to appoint Marissa McCarthy on the Historic Architectural Review Board.
I second.
Thank you. Mr. Metric, please call the question.
Ms. Dorsey,
Yes.
Mr. Flynn,
Yes.
Ms. Vaccaro,
Yes.
Mr. McGinnis.
Yes.
Ms. Shimoni,
Yes.
and Mr. McCoy.
Yes. A reminder, we talked about this last evening, the Westchester Library Board, that decision will be made in January. Next, we have the Recreation Commission. We have Joshua Carter, resident, Laura McLean again, Dan Meehan, non-resident, and Lawrence Cohen.
So I have an opinion on this one. It sounds like Joshua is one of the few people that had children, goes to the parks regularly, took our survey, all of these things. So my opinion would be, I preferred him over the other candidates for this role.
That's my recommendation as well, Ms. Shimoni.
I agree.
Someone care to make a motion?
Can I make the motion that we go with Joshua Carter?
I'll second that.
Okay, we had some great candidates, and by the way, we really appreciate everyone throwing their hat in the ring, and please keep a lookout for the next vacancy. We had some really strong candidates, and I would love for them to come back at some point. In the meantime, Mr. Metric, please call the question.
Ms. Dorsey,
Yes.
Mr. Flynn,
Yes.
Ms. Vaccaro,
Yes.
Mr. McGinnis,
Yes.
Ms. Shimoni,
Yes.
and Mr. McCoy.
Yes. Okay, next we have the Sustainability Advisory Commission with Laura McLean, resident, and Lawrence Cohen.
Laura McLean spoke with me and expressed interest to be added to the Transportation Advisory Committee. Therefore, I also did like Lawrence Cohen. So I would recommend moving forward with him on this
I
position.
would second that.
Lawrence Cohen?
He was the gentleman that's at Drexel Sports.
Teaches a class in sustainability.
Okay, we have consensus. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we recommend Mr. Lawrence Cohen for the Sustainability Advisory Commission.
And I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Metric, please call the question.
Ms. Dorsey,
Yes.
Mr. Flynn, Ms. Vaccaro,
Yes.
Mr. McGinnis,
Yes.
Ms. Shimoni,
Yes.
and Mr. McCoy.
Yes. Lastly, we have the new Transportation Advisory Committee. We had 4 candidates, and there is a total of 5 to 7 available for this committee. We have these 4 candidates: Jim Wiley, John O'Brien, Patty Shields, and Rayot, all great candidates.
I would like to add Laura McLean.
I'm okay with
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Adding more Lauren McLean, would someone like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion for the 4 candidates plus Laura McLean for the Transportation Advisory Committee.
And I would like to second that.
Ms. Dorsey,
Yes.
Mr. Flynn.
Yes.
Ms. Vaccaro,
Yes.
Mr. McGinnis,
Yes.
Ms. Shimoni,
Yes.
and Mr. McCoy.
Yes. Thank you. everyone for your support of our commissions and committees and boards. They're important. We know it's all volunteer service and we appreciate the time. Moving on to B, motion to sponsor the CRC Watersheds Association 2025 cleanup. The issue regarding approving a sponsorship of $500 as a watershed sponsor supporter for the 27th annual streams cleanup on March 29, 2025.
So I know we had a lot of conversation over this last night with my position and my recommendation that we don't sponsor this event, but we actually continue to do what we've been doing over the past few years, which is send our team to support the event because they create a strong impact during the actual event. And I think even if you think about this way, the ROI on the amount of money we spend is actually higher by sending people there than just sponsoring with money. So that's still the same position that I have tonight.
I would agree with that position. Council, any other further comment?
I agree with
Public
it.
questions or comments? Can I hear a motion?
I make a motion that we do not sponsor the annual streams cleanups with CRC and send Public Works employees to continue to support it in that manner.
Is the appropriate way to do this, Mr. Metric? Or do we all say no to approving the sponsorship?
No, it's a,
Yeah, the motion, it would be in order to consider the motion as read by Ms. Dorsey.
It's fine.
Um,
It's like a condition.
Okay,
Second.
thank you. Mr. Metric, please call the question.
Ms. Dorsey?
No, yes, sorry, confused me.
I knew that was going to happen. Mr. Flynn?
Yes.
Ms. Vaccaro?
Yes.
Mr. McGinnis?
Yes.
Ms. Shimoni?
yes.
And Mr. McCoy?
Yes. Okay, moving on to item C, approve resolution relative to amended ordinance, chapter 104, vehicles and traffic.
This was the resolution I referenced that now will contain all the handicap parking spaces.
Okay, thank you.
I make a
Motion.
motion to approve the resolution as presented tonight for vehicles and chapter 104 for vehicles and traffic.
And I will second that.
Thank you. Mr. Metric, please call the question.
Ms. Dorsey?
Yes.
Mr. Flynn?
Yes.
Ms. Vaccaro?
Yes.
Mr. McGinnis?
Yes.
Ms. Shimoni?
Yes.
And Mr. McCoy?
Yes. Moving on to the consent agenda, of which there are 15 items.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we accept the consent agenda as presented.
I do just want to make sure we clarify, because we did have the conversation last night over the meeting schedules for the committees, and there was an update versus what was presented last night to keep the committee meetings the same for now with the rest of the updates. So that is what we have on the consent agenda.
That's the attachment. Okay, thank you.
So I'll second.
Mr. Metric, please call the question.
Ms. Dorsey?
Yes.
Mr. Flynn?
Yes.
Ms. Vaccaro?
Yes.
Mr. McGinnis?
Yes.
Ms. Shimoni?
Yes.
And Mr. McCoy?
Yes. Okay, is there any new business? Seeing none, any other business?
Mr. Chairman, at what time and place do we meet again in 2025? What date, what time, for the public to know?
That's in the attachment, and what is our first committee is on the 7th? Okay. Thank you. Any other business? Mr. Cook?
Darrell Cook, South Walnut Street. Thank you for not raising my taxes.
You're welcome. Okay, we are adjourned at 7:04.